Holy hell, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. It is the current recent Steam reviews for Helldivers 2. The game is getting annihilated. It has got 24,000 negative reviews as of today. That is an insane amount of reviews to pick up. That is absolutely crazy. And why is this happening? Well, this is because of the PSN requirement the game is now forcing on us. And as we will find out in this video, it is Sony enforcing this on Arrowhead. But Arrowhead are almost the bearer of bad news. And, well, yeah, and all of these negative reviews are completely justified as well. So what is happening? Well, okay, maybe I can go back on that a little bit. There will be people jumping on, like, the hate train bandwagon. But I think, honestly, the majority of these will be from customers who are annoyed. And I cannot honestly stress enough that that is a completely legitimate stance, because you now require a PSN account to play Helldivers 2, crucially on Steam, which is on the PC, which is it's nothing to do with the PlayStation. Obviously, this is a PlayStation published game, and PlayStation actually want your data, they want your details, and this is the way of getting it if you're only a PC player and you've got no intention of ever registering for a PSN account. So the TLDR of all of this is, if you don't register an account on PSN and then link it with your Steam account, you won't be able to play Helldivers 2 on PC in the coming months. That's absolutely insane. That is actually insane. But as you're about to find out in this video, we get told why that's happening, and we get some damage control coming in from the development studio, which honestly I do feel really sorry for those guys, because it's not really on them, but in some ways it is, because this is a Sony published game and it was always intended to have PSN account requirement when you first play the game. However, it was disabled some 36 hours, I should say, not minutes, 36 hours into the initial launch of the game. So if you pick the game up not within the first 2 days of launch, you didn't have to sign up with a PSN account. So they disabled it because they had, I guess, server infrastructure problems. So that's not really on the consumer, is it? Anyway, let's break all of this down, because we've got the CEO, we've got community managers, and we've got Steam reviews. This is insane. The CEO drops this on Twitter some 2 hours ago. Ouch, right in the review score. Well, I guess it's warranted. Sorry everyone for how this all transpired. I hope we will make it up and regain the trust by providing a continued great game experience. I just want to make great games, and we see a screenshot there from Steam showing the 65% mixed recent review. I'm not going to call this bombing, because it's not review bombing. That's also another thing we've got to be aware of here. To review bomb something is to just hate review it for a completely different reason. You could say this is maybe what happened to Overwatch 2, although I would argue there were legitimate reasons to say that game, deserved a negative review. Hello, monetization. However, for Helldivers 2, yeah, they're now forcing you to use a PSN account, even if you don't play on PSN, and you can't play on PC if you don't have a PSN account. So that's completely warranted. And also, you've got to remember, there are regions in the world where you will not be able to actually play this game if you own it on Steam, because you're not legally able to set up a PSN account in that region. You could use a VPN, but then that makes you bannable by PSN for using a VPN to set up your PSN account. It's insane. It's actually insane. So Twinbeard, one of the community managers, says this. First of all, it's Sony's decision, not ours. Secondly, we don't have all of the details about region-related issues yet. We're chasing Sony to get more info. So this is a little bit of insight, right, into the fact that this isn't Helldivers. It's not Arrowhead that made this announcement. Sony have come in and made the announcement. Now, you will remember from the actual initial announcement itself, it is signed off Sony Entertainment at the bottom. It's not signed off Arrowhead, so I think that was kind of a statement there, which I did pick up on my previous video I made on this topic today. But this does beg the question, if you are in a country that cannot make a PSN account, are you going to get refunded through Steam? Surely, right? Because they've literally sold you a product you can't even use in your country. That's mental. Twinbeard then goes on to say, if you, by that mean, writing non-stop for 8 hours, replying to hundreds of comments, trying to explain and mitigate with little information we have, yes, you're correct. There's no new announcement because we lack more information to share at the moment. So this is in response to a user just saying, like, well, what's going on? The community managers haven't made an announcement yet. And again, this is the community manager saying, look, we don't have the info. Like, this literally has been dropped on us. We don't really know what to say. We are working on a Q&A, and that'll come out at some point. So, yeah. There was also a little bit of drama over the way one of the community managers responding. So this comment says, CM's response to refund, Jesus, dude. And Twinbeard replies with, yeah, it's not a great look, of course. It's been a long day, and some people may be tired, but we need to try and be better for sure. Now, this is in response to this message from Spitz, which basically says, like, it's not like this is the first time or even the 14th mainstream game to require a third-party account that takes a couple of minutes to create. But if it's a deal breaker to have to take 120 seconds out of your day to enter an email and password and then forget about it, change your Steam review, and make your displeasure known on the platform where it matters. Now, this response is, I mean, you can almost feel the frustration through this. Like, you know, and the community managers, you have to remember, community managers are like the first line of defense. Anytime anything happens, they'll learn about it first. You know, they'll be looking in places to find this information out first as well. They'll start seeing community reaction, but then the community will go to them and be like, well, what's going on? We want answers. And they've kind of got to deal with like a massive onslaught. And, you know, you'd need massive teams to deal with this. And I don't think Arrowhead have got a massive team. I mean, I think they've literally got 3 people that are working on this. Maybe they've got a few more, but there's only 3, I think, public community managers. So yeah, you can understand like the frustration. I can absolutely understand that. But I think the issue with this comment was, the thing is, it's not really about signing. It's not the time investment. It's not like, oh, it only takes me a few seconds, I'll just sign an account or whatever. It's the fact that it's another account that you need, that you didn't need. Okay, I know you did. Technically, it was on the product page, but it wasn't enforced, so it may as well have been just a made-up rule. So you didn't need this account, and it's like almost an additional account you have to set up, and it's Sony that don't have a great history with keeping your data, you know, under control. And if you're not a PlayStation gamer anyway, and you're just a PC gamer, you're not going to have a PSN, so why the hell would you sign up for a PSN, which is going to potentially open the details that you fill into that PSN account up to hackers in the future and all that stuff. There's like a ton, like an absolute like laundry list of other issues why people wouldn't want another account or even have to set up a linked PSN account to play a game which didn't require it because it didn't enforce it, but now requires it. And if you don't do it, then you won't get the game. See what I mean? So it's like this comment, yeah, you can understand it, but also it is a bit like, it's a bit short-sighted, I think. However, Spitz then does come back with some information as to why Sony is doing this, and says this: Sony is the publisher and needs a way to ban PC players. Right now, they can only do that by having to send a name to Valve and wait for Valve to action the ban. If players are required to have a PSN linked to their Steam, Sony can just ban the PSN to keep them off the game instead of having to go through Valve. So it seems that this is the main thing, or one of the, I guess, this is the it's not the main thing, is it? Let's be real here, guys, right? The main reason why Sony want you as a PC gamer to make a PSN account and link it to Steam is so it looks like they've got increased user numbers on PSN. Look at this, we've got X amount, millions more accounts have just been added to PSN. We're doing really well. It doesn't matter if those accounts ain't being used. In the future, maybe you'll convert into a PSN customer and start buying games, you know, over on PSN and, you know, all of that stuff. That's why they're doing it. But this messaging from Spitz here, it's almost like the best of a bad sort of list of bonuses that the player would get. And they're basically saying, look, if you've got a linked PSN account, then Sony can immediately ban you if you're doing something suspect on the game. Whereas at the moment, we cannot ban you because we're going to have to wait for Steam. Steam are then going to have to piss around and then decide to ban you. Days, who even knows, weeks could go before that happens. I think that's the issue. Which I guess makes sense, but that doesn't really outweigh all of the other problems, does it? The CEO says, hey everyone, in regards to account linking and questions there too, please reference, and he puts a link to this. There's a link to this in the video description below. If you have any further questions, you can reach out using the contact PlayStation support at the bottom of the page. Now, there was a bunch of responses to this, and the CEO was responding to people on Twitter, and I've picked out some of the responses here. So he says, I understand that linking accounts and signing up for additional services may not be something that some users would like to do, and that needs to be respected. While the Steam page has always shown the requirements on the game page, I wish we had been more clear with the long-term intent to not disappoint any of the divers out there. And this is the diplomatic, this is almost the PR response, isn't it? This is the, we're sorry, we should have done better, we know we should have been better, we should have told you a bit more about that, but hopefully we can just move on from this, and that's all that really is. Let me start by saying, I know it's not you guys, but Sony who is holding the metaphorical gun here. But some countries that have your players literally cannot make PSN accounts because Sony does not recognize them on PSN. What's going to happen to those players? And he says, we are discussing that question with our partners at PlayStation and trying to find a solution. I mean, unfortunately, the only solution here is a full refund. In that case, there should be absolutely an immediate full refund to those players. Or they go, you know what? It's not actually a requirement for a PSN. Just carry on. Although I can never see that happening. So if you go and look at Steam, you know, you'll just see tons and tons and tons of negative reviews coming in. A lot of them are just like meme responses. This one, though, is currently the top most helpful current review. And it says, yeah, I'm not linking my account to PSN. April 2011, hackers access personal data of 77 million Sony PlayStation Network users. May 2011, personal details of 25 million Sony Online Entertainment customers stolen. June 2011, Sony Pictures website hacked, exposing 1 million accounts. November 2014, hackers steal 100 terabytes of data from Sony Pictures. August 2017, hacker group accesses Sony social media accounts. September 2023, Sony investigates alleged hack. October 2023, Sony notifies employees of data breach. I love this game, but the PSN account was the last straw for me and a lot of my friends who can't play. 262 hours on record. One of the best games in years, and amazing devs. Too bad to be ruined by Sony, forcing me to make a PSN account which is not supported in my country. After this, I would reconsider everything Sony. 136 hours. PlayStation Network required, bait and switch, 101 hours. Now, it's kind of difficult to just have an all-encompassing conclusion or final word on this. The fact is, the game did state you need a PSN account on its Steam page. Then it didn't enforce it. And it didn't enforce it for literally 3 months. So you don't need a PSN account. You're playing on Steam. Steam is where PC players play. They're not playing on PlayStation. They're playing on Steam, right? They don't have a PSN account. Yes, some will. I've got one myself. But there'll be a lot of players out there that don't have a PSN account. They don't want a PSN account. If you've played on PC, you know how bloody annoying it is to have multiple accounts all linked into Steam, different launchers. I know that's not the case with PSN. I know it's not a different launcher, but it's a different account, right? It's annoying. It's super annoying. For them to then add it back into the game in the way they've done it, which is forcing everybody who has bought the game in the last 3 months to link a PSN account, is completely insane. It should have been, it's our mistake, we've messed up. All new accounts require a PSN. Not every account, and even like all new accounts requiring PSNs is kind of annoying, but I get it's a PlayStation published game, right? We've got to be realistic here. But it's this issue of the tens of millions of players that are playing right now on Steam. Those players are the problem. And Sony, frankly, want their numbers in PSN, and that's why they're doing this. This isn't going to go away. This is just going to be it. This is it. If you don't make a PSN account, that's it. I will be very surprised if Arrowhead even has any kind of weight anywhere near close to be able to say into Sony, hold on, we don't want to do this, and Sony go, okay, fair enough. That's not going to happen. Sony's the publisher. Sony's a literal massive mega conglomerate. They ain't going to mess about. You know, I've had my run-ins with Sony in the past. You do something or you say something Sony don't like, they will copyright strike your YouTube channel. I'm not joking. They don't mess about, right? They're straight in. They straight in and they just do you bad. Like, other publishers will actually approach you and say, can you take the video down? They don't. They just take you out. That's how they roll. So there's no way this is going to... There's literally no world they're just going to roll this back. If that happens, again, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, that's the situation with the game. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below, guys. And yeah, I'm going to read these comments to see what you guys are saying. And I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. See you soon.